Hey guys, welcome back. And in this session, we'll talk about COBOL program coding rules. So before we get into the actual program coding rules, let's try to understand why do we have special coding rules for COBOL. So as you know that COBOL is one of the oldest and robust programming language that is still in use. And when COBOL was designed, that is during 1960s or 70s, during that time frame, you do not have modern programming tools to feed data into the computer. So in those days, punch cards were the only way to input data into the computers. Punch cards are the paper cards where hole may be punched either by the hand or by the machine. And these holes actually represent computer data and instructions. And lastly, these cards or stack of cards were fed into the card reader which is connected to a computer that eventually converts the sequence of holes into a digital information. So if you look at the right hand side of your screen, you notice a sample punch card with certain set of holes, and these holes actually represent information that can only be understood by a punch card reader. So punch card reader actually read this set of information with the help of these holes and translate that into a digital information. And last but not the least, one of the most widely used punch card machine was the IBM 029. Now let me summarize the entire process which was followed during 1960s or 70s to write a COBOL program. So let's say you want to write a COBOL program. So in that case, you will use a coding form or COBOL coding sheet, and on this sheet you'll write your COBOL program. After that you'll pass it your COBOL program to a punch card operator for transferring that into a punch card, and then submit it to a computer operator to load it into a computer using a punch card reader. Now let's talk about actual coding rules that you should follow when you're writing your COBOL program. And remember, these rules are derived from the coding sheet that was used to write COBOL program during 1960s, 70s. So in reality, the coding rules are absolutely same. The only difference is that during initial days of 1960s, 70s, you generally used to write program on a piece of paper, that is COBOL coding sheet, but now you are writing COBOL program with the help of integrated development environment such as RDZ or VS Code. Now let's talk about the actual coding rules that you should follow when you're writing your COBOL program. And these rules are actually based on the coding form or sheet that we have discussed in our previous slide. So each line in a COBOL program is considered to be of 80 columns. And these columns are further divided into 5 different fields, and each field has its own significance. So let's look at the significance of each field. So first 6 byte or column are reserved for sequence number, and sequence number are added to each line by the compiler during the compilation process, and they are not used anymore in modern days. You can leave them blank because they are actually used during the olden days when you have the punch card. Position number 7 or column number 7 is generally used for comments, continuation, or form feeds. From position number 8 to 11 is termed as section A, and it is generally used for special entries such as division, sections, paragraph name, and some items of the data division. Then you have position number 12 to 72. It is termed as section B, and it is generally used for most of the COBOL entries including procedure division sentences. Then you have position number 73 up till 80, and this area is called as identification area. These positions originally were used to identify a program, but they are not used anymore today. Now let me showcase a sample COBOL program so that you can understand how exactly you can write your COBOL program which follows the coding rules that we have discussed so far. So here's a sample COBOL program, and if you notice the top column, it clearly outlines the 5 fields that we have discussed in our previous slide. So you have first 6 byte as sequence number, seventh position we generally use to specify comments or continuation. Area A, which is from 8 to 11, is used to specify your division, your paragraph name. Then you have area B, that is starting from position number 12 to 72, and in this section you include most of your COBOL entries and your program logic. After that you have position number 73 to 80, which is used for identification, and I've just left that blank. Now if you look at the right hand side of your screen, I've given 4 different divisions in which your COBOL program is actually divided. So first one is identification division, then you have environment division, then you have data division, and thereafter you have procedure division, where we used to specify the business logic. So in next couple of slides, we're going to look into each of the division and the orientation of COBOL program. So as of now, just remember that this is how you're going to write your COBOL program, and these are the positions that you have to keep in mind. So till now, if you have any question, then do let me know. Otherwise, let's move on to our next lecture.